We're all natural learners when we enjoy what we're doing, especially when we're doing it with others.
My hobby is like listening to music and also watching Korean drama.
I like to play with Legos because I get to build what I love, helicopter.
Best thing about netball.
I have a student that does YouTube videos.
I do a lot of reading. I think I've almost finished my whole bookshelf.
After my PT change, I want to go more on programming.
I like to live with my friends.
Even people who enjoy being on their own, they need to have relationships with others. We all need to have relationships with others, and this is backed by research. Our survival, in fact, depends on it. We are wired to live and learn together.
This ability to take joy in something is such a powerful force.
Have we asked ourselves, how can we make full use of joy as a motivating tool across everything we do? How can we start designing education so that it is truly enjoyable for everyone involved?
The learning happens even when we play. Grow together now, a family loud and proud. La-di-ya-da-da, enjoy what you do. La-di-ya-da-da, with whom you do it too. So in this heart of mine, I'll choose to always be a ray of sun to everyone I see. Take courage, choose belief. I was meant to take a leap. Take the leap.
Welcome to Leaves of Knowledge, the Heart series. In this episode, we explore our second value, enjoy what you do and who you do it with, and what that could look like in the context of education.
Many studies show that when children are given the chance to explore, be creative, co-create, and have fun, they're more engaged in learning. Basically, when they enjoy what they do.
And yet, the joy factor in education is often underrated or compartmentalized into scheduled lunch breaks, extracurricular activities, or even just after school hours.
What if we started to see joy as the main key to making all kinds of learning effective? Instead of allowing students to do something fun only if they behave well, what if we flipped that and let the fun be the very thing that drives the learning process?
When we value enjoyment as a core part of the learning process, that opens the door for creative expression. Applying creativity in our approach to education makes learning more personal, meaningful, and really engaging.
To dive deeper into the subject of creativity, we spoke to Saku Tuominen, founder and creative director of 100, a global education nonprofit that improves education through impactful innovations.
He's a huge champion of creativity and innovation in education. So we asked him, how can we apply creativity into education on a day-to-day basis?
For me, the creativity is the act of trying to improve the status quo. Meaning is that you can find a new way to run meetings, teach kids, create learning environments, fight bullying, improve school food, and so on. And then you can be using creativity in all of that. But when you are trying to do things in a new way, you have to accept that not everything works, and that's not a bad thing. That's the essence of creativity, is the deeply accepting that many of the things I will try will not work. So if we are trying to add creativity to the curriculum, for example, and at the same time we want to have the certainty that this way of teaching creativity will work, I think that we are missing the point completely. So for me, when we are trying to teach creativity, I think that we should be teaching growth mindset. We should be teaching agencies that I personally can make a change happen in the world. And I think that one of the key things is that how do we help kids cope with things that did not work? Every creative act is consisting of two parts. One is thinking skills. seeing something that others don't, meaning is that there might be a better way to do this one. But then the act of creativity also includes the element of doing. So it's not only, quite often people think that it's thinking, and then doing, like 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. And that's not how I see creativity. I see it as a cyclic process, meaning is that you think, you test, you modify, you test, and so on. So it's a balance of thinking and doing all the time.
100 recognizes that in a fast-changing world, education must adapt to help children thrive. They help to scale K-12 innovations that focus on the importance of creativity and play, both of which are not usually prioritized in traditional education.
We wondered how people from different parts of the world could possibly begin to value these elements more, especially in the context of today's changing landscape in education.
First of all, I think that you should start with the key thing, meaning is that what is the purpose of education in general? And if you ask me, I would answer is that the purpose of education is to help every child flourish in life, no matter what happens. And then the key thing is that, okay, how do we help kids flourish in life in 2030? And in order to be able to do that one, we have to understand is that what will the world look like in 2030? And the honest answer is that we don't, no one knows. It's full of uncertainties, and COVID has been a beautiful example, or not beautiful, but a great example on uncertainty. I think that we should be deeply understanding that what has been beautiful about this, what has been great, and take the good parts and combine them with something existing and so on, instead of thinking is that I'm counting the days when I can go back to normal. I think that would be a disaster if that will happen, for example, in education. For me, this is increasing the value of thinking skills, meaning you have to have grit, you have to have perseverance, you have to have creativity, you have to be able to be curious, you have to be able to question. And I think that is kind of like the essence of creativity. One essential element of Finnish education system is to let kids be kids, meaning let's let them play. Let's understand that a lot of learning is happening outside of the school walks when they are, for example, playing together outside and so on, because they are learning how to be with other kids, how to cope with things that don't work and so on and so on. So I'd say that the essential things of Finnish education system is high quality teachers, a lot of trust, and trusting kids as well, and having long breaks and letting kids play. And that's not what many people want to hear, because their idea of high quality education is so totally different.
I love what he said about Finnish education encouraging long breaks. It'd be great to be at the beach all the time.
Is that what you took away from Saku's talk? I like how, to him, creativity is teaching a growth mindset, giving students agency to make a change. Like, how can we educate kids so that they'll enjoy solving problems in the world? For example, if they see rubbish in the sea.
Ooh, you're gonna like what's next then. If we want to be more creative and make learning more enjoyable, education can draw inspiration from different industries. That's what we're going to be exploring today with artist and photographer Von Wong.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Von Wong, and I am an artist. The way I like to describe my work is photos that people think are photoshopped. So what does that look like? Well, it looks something like this. So you look at the photograph, you're not entirely sure what you're looking at. And ideally what comes to mind is it real? Is it fake? And I like to ignite a sense of curiosity in the work that I do because it gets people to ask questions. And when people have a question, that means an opportunity to start a conversation. In my case, I get to say, hey, actually what you're looking at is indeed a real photograph. It's made out of wood and LED lights, so it's an art installation. And I didn't build it alone because I actually don't know how to build anything. I had the help of hundreds of volunteers that came inside of a mall over the course of 2 weeks in order to bring this project to life. And most importantly, the reason why we did this was to raise awareness for plastic pollution. So what we used was 168,000 plastic straws that were collected over the course of 8 months in order to make this art installation. So we had to collect them, clean them, wash them, organize them, sort them in order to bring this project to life. I think that art has the power to start conversations in really important topics. You know, when I think of conversations like the microfiber pollution problem, which is the microscopic pieces of plastic that escape our laundry machine in polyester, nylon, and spandex, it's really hard to attract a new audience into it when you're just writing these boring science articles. But when you create a piece of art and you get people wondering, what is going on here? And it becomes a metaphor for a bigger conversation. In this case, all these extraordinary particles that are sneaking out and threatening the people that we love, then I think you have the chance to touch people on a level that is far deeper than just knowledge, but feeling, right? And once people are feeling interested, then they have the opportunity to actually dive a little bit deeper into the science, and they want to generate the awareness in order to learn a little bit more about the problem. So I have always loved to get the community involved in the work that I do, right? So these projects, they look big, they look crazy, but at the end of the day, the reason they exist is because community members come together by the dozens, by the hundreds, in order to talk about an issue that they care about. In this case, we're trying to bring awareness to the statistic, which is every 60 seconds, a truckload of plastic flows into the ocean. You might have heard the statistic before, but what does it look like? What does it feel like? What happens when all of these bottles are flowing into the ocean every 60 seconds? How do you understand it? And that's really where I think the art comes into play. So curiosity, art, coming together with the help of communities. And so if you're doing any kind of awareness project, if you're getting children engaged, it's really important to think about how are people going to talk about it. So what's an example of that? Well, I want to show you the first time I discovered this. And this is when I decided to tie a model 30 meters underwater in a shipwreck in Bali, right? So even before you've seen the photograph, the fact that I tied a model 30 meters underwater in a shipwreck in Bali is interesting. So that is the importance of a title. That is the importance of a headline. That is the important thing that you want to have in order to start a conversation. And then once you're able to start a conversation, you don't want to disappoint people, because that's when it becomes clickbait. But if you do something that has a great title so that people can share it with their friends, so that they can come home and say, guess what I did today? You'll never guess what I did. That's really the key to getting something to spread, right? And if you can get something to spread, if you can get a message to spread, if you can get a story to spread, then you can get change to happen. Most recently, the kind of work that I've been doing has been centered around how do you bring this idea of fantastic visuals to everyone else. And it's this idea of open sourcing photography, right? So this is a project that I did in Singapore. We collected 18,000 plastic cups in a single day. But even more interesting is to give everyone the opportunity to take a photo. So this is my photograph, but look, everyone can now use this as an opportunity to have a conversation. And I think there's something really interesting about this element of collaboration, of people coming together and giving people the opportunity to express themselves visually, to ignite that sense of curiosity, and to feel inspired to create projects of their own. So those are kind of the 3 little tips that I wanted to leave with you guys today. It's the importance of starting with a sense of curiosity, because that's how you're going to find a community. And with a community, you can create things that are really, really amazing. And ultimately, you always want to think in the back of your mind, how is this going to spread? When stories spread, that's when change can truly happen. The one thing that I would really like to find within the education space is someone who can take this chaos particle, which is me, the way I think, the projects that I've done, all the different lessons I've created, and who wants to sit with me and have a conversation and distill this entire body of work that I have into a framework. And I'd love to do this with a fellow educator to make this approach to creativity and impact more accessible to all. So if you are that person and you want to collaborate, please let me know.
Can you imagine if learning looked like that? A lesson that invites students to create their own meaning or version of it using their creativity. Something visual and fantastical that makes kids talk about it for a long time to come.
Yes, I remember some lessons were like that in school. especially the ones that allowed you to imagine and act. You could be anything.
I've always wanted to be a superhero.
Whoa, me too.
You know, using your imagination through acting is a great way to engage kids in the process of learning. Shaheen Misri and her team in Teach for India have done an incredible job at this. By producing an original student-led musical, they gave students a voice and let them co-create the learning experience.
It's a perfect example of what learning can look like when it's made enjoyable and when you're doing it together with others.
Maya was trapped in her palace, locked in those four walls, and so was I. I had to sit in my house, locked the whole day, teaching and talking to myself. So just like Maya's journey, even I had to struggle to find my voice. I knew that I had the light that wanted to shine. I knew that I had a voice that wanted to come out.
I've increased my self-awareness about my strengths and weaknesses.
What's another term we use for weaknesses?
Areas of development.
Now I'm really confident.
I'm not scared of the cockroach and I stand for what I believe.
Maya is the beautiful place I have ever been in my whole life. Using all these values, I can be a better person afterwards.
Maya is just not a musical that we are going to do in November, but it's also to work as a team. It is like a family.
Maya is the place where I can express my feelings. I will try to not make her feel like she's alone. Maya gives me the power to live my life. Maya is an inspiration that helps me to help others. And Maya is a song that encourages me to sing at my own voice.
Maya is just potential that we've just begun to explore, but which is sort of waiting to explode.
So it was a big experiment. I think I've always been a huge believer in the intersection of the arts, getting kids to practice values and building academics. Like in my ideal education world, these three things come together. And so we wanted to really experiment with that and take children on a journey. It was a pretty long 18-month journey of practicing three values. The values were courage, compassion, and wisdom through the platform of the arts. So while the musical was sort of the end goal for the children at the end of the journey, what really we were trying to understand is what does that journey need to look like to fully unleash a child's potential? And so we tried to experiment with this idea of integration. If we had a song in the musical, for example, like a monkey song, children would be researching different types of monkeys. They would be like walking around the room, like being different kind of monkeys. They would learn about the value systems of groups of monkeys. So by the time they learned the song, they had their academics, they had their research, they had their values. It was all interwoven really beautifully. And for the children, it just felt like a lot of fun with a very high bar, because we told them at the beginning, we said, we're going to evaluate our success before the curtains open for the musical, because the journey is going to matter so much. And through that journey, we discovered that there were certain things that we did every day that really caused those shifts in kids. So for example, the learning circle. We started every class and ended every class with a sharing circle where kids would sit together with us as equals, again, partnership you could see happening there, to really talk about what bothered them, what were their reflections. And we found that a very powerful space, the circle. Reflection in general, we found to be integral, like not just the experiences kids have, but what is the meaning they are making out of those experiences. Setting a high bar, we felt, was what really shifted kids, right? In every way. So I remember once their teacher said, we're going to practice courage. None of our children had ever been swimming before. We took them for a retreat. And she said, we're going to practice courage tomorrow morning, 7:30 in the morning. You're all going to be in the swimming pool, right? So it was, again, you could see the integration of fun, challenge, all of these elements coming together. And then partnership too, because we did the Maya musical in partnership. It was like a miracle. We got connected to this wonderful Broadway music director called Mary Mitchell Campbell. And she came in. And so it was this beautiful partnership of Broadway artists working on the music, our children being trained by them. And lots of exposure. So through the year, we had people volunteering, ranging from like a circus artist to a jazz musician, like all these different people coming together across the world. You don't see kids at the table when we're talking about education, when we have education conferences, when we decide education policy. It's always adults many steps away from the ground taking decisions for children. And I think the reason for that is power is hard to give away. Control is hard to give away wherever it resides, right? So for a teacher to give up control and allow voice, voice is messy, voice is difficult to deal with, power is difficult to share. So I think really to shift towards a world where children have voice and are able to operate as partners, which I really think is the most important thing we can do. I think we need to start by a lot of introspection of our own biases. Even as someone who champions this idea so much, it's been so hard for me. Like you always feel like, no, but I should jump in. I'm the adult. I know better. How do you step back and say, no, actually, like, let me allow for a little bit of messiness, a little bit of organic growth. Let me really listen to what kids want. Let me, as I'm designing education, be asking kids, why do you want to learn? What do you want to learn? How do you want to learn? And can I design based on that?
This musical has inspired many other educators all across the world. One of these was Malaysian teacher Sunufat Subramaniam.
So after hearing about Teach for India Maya musical, I'm absolutely blown away and its potential to let the students discover beyond joy, but also absolute confidence, absolute life skills, communication skills, critical thinking skills. So I fly all the way to learn from Teach for India, extremely inspired. So I come back to Malaysia and thinking how I can change, how can I adopt, how can I implement Malaysian schools context. So we use the script and then we work with students from 5 different schools. We work with students, about 40 students from 5 different schools to adapt the script again, to analyze and come up with different modules. So we talk throughout the module, we talk about what is wisdom, what are some of the challenges that the main character is going through in order to find her light in saving the kingdom of light from being destroyed by the kingdom of darkness. I think it's an inspiring start. And after that, we kind of morph and transform the idea. We continue to look at social issues. So we look at social issues that affect students the most and allow students to come up with a script. And students devise their own script. They talk about increased bullying cases in Malaysia for the past 5 years. And they have come up with a script. And then together with Georgetown Festival, we put on a show directed and produced by the students from these 5 schools about bullying. So students are becoming very brave at voicing out the issues related to bullying at home, bullying in schools, and bullying in the society, virtual bullying. So we combine all these elements and allow the students to put on a full-length play. And through that, students also need to design projects that is addressing the social issues that is of their concern. So I think from that journey, we discover performing arts, it's not just performing itself, but it's a tool for students to discover their voice, to discover their confidence, to discover their ability to advocate for change on different issues.
Bully happened all around us, and it's actually happened in front of my eyes as well. But then I did not realize it because we just think that, oh, this is small things, no one care about it. Yeah, but then based on joining that, I see that actually bully is not like small things. If no one like take an actions to stop that, then that will be continue.
I have this student, and her name is City, not her real name. She comes from a very challenging background, and she has never met her parents, and she was very negative. And she kind of gossip about things all the time and just have this really negative perception about what life can be and relationships and people around her. I think I recruited her, I challenged her to be one of the main performer of the show, or both of the shows actually. I still remember one night before the opening night, and she's like, Teacher Soon, Sir Soon, I cannot do this. I really cannot. And among thousands of things I have to do to guide them, to coach them, to let them believe that they are truly worthy of the role. They're truly worthy to shine on stage. I look her into the eye and say, you can do it. You deserve to shine on stage. You went through months of training, and I believe you can do it. And she went on and performed the best that she can. And she slowly transformed to a more positive person. She worked on projects such as Recycling Warriors, where she thinks plastic pollution is a huge issue in her community. She set up booths at the market at the Pasar Malam to talk about plastic pollution. And she also represented Malaysia to go to different countries and to share her ideas and methodologies. I think that's one of my most inspiring example, which it deeply, deeply inspired me as a teacher, where previously I'm like, oh, should I give up? But the fruit is so sweet when students are able to flourish when we give them the right opportunity and platform. I think for teachers who are watching this video, it's great for you to start with a performative activity. Use role play to talk about photosynthesis, to talk about the cycle of water. I think that's really important to build into science as well, where they embody the learning into their lessons. Start with a performative activity, build it in the middle of your lesson, or end it with it. Or also go online, search for a lot of good arts-based activity that can help you in your lessons. Start incorporating like drawing into science lessons. Why not? And also go out and look for alumni in the schools who are willing to contribute, doing some industry sharing, industry panel sharing, industry talk, expose students to different careers and opportunities out there, especially in this time of where students all should be virtual based. You never know, it can even reach out to even more students because of that video being made. Some people think that teacher cannot be artist, and some artists think artists cannot be teacher. Teacher flourish on structure, where the artists rely heavily on freedom. But I believe there's the art of blending these two together. If we're able to borrow the freedom and expressions of art to combine with the science of teaching, it is able to merge and give the students a rigid structure, a good structure to explore their creativity. And for artists to challenge yourself thinking, structure is good. For teachers to challenge yourself thinking, freedom, it's amazing in your classroom.
We talked about engaging students through collaboration, creativity, dance, and performing arts. But a big part of enjoying what we do and who we do it with is also through Play.
Play, like playing football with friends? Whoa.
Or playing my favorite childhood game, hopscotch.
Playing isn't just something that we should be doing to give kids breaks during their free times. It has such an important role in learning.
Your turn.
Hi, my name is Marcus Vierman. I am the CEO and founder of both Playground Ideas and our new social enterprise, Noodlecart. But essentially, the big perspective that we were trying to get across is that one of the biggest wins that you can have for young people, if you intervene early and you give children lots of time to play with stimulating creative materials, and you have a lot of care and compassionate adult to child interactions, there are huge gains for children, both in their incomes, their educational attainment, their university, their likelihood of university attendance and finishing university. But the shocking statistic about that is that 60 to 66%, so about 2/3, so 2 out of 3 children are failing after 4 years of primary school education. But if they are to go to school and after 4 years of school they're failing the basics, there's a huge opportunity lost where they haven't had the apprenticing in the basic skills that their family work, of the other cultural things that are going on in that place. And then there was some US studies that found that 40% of children who played more and had a better, more play-based kindergarten experience increased high school graduations by 44% and increased their bachelor degree attainment by 17%. So again, huge statistical benefits for those people. And what's amazing is, this is what I think is amazing about the accreting knowledge base or brain complexity or whatever else is going on there that I don't think we fully understand, is that as your brain is getting more and more complex in your early years, when you're very young, your brain has the ability to grow billions of neurons much, much faster than any other time in your life. So you've got this incredible window of time, this opportunity where you can pack in brain complexity and learning and other things in this just incredibly quickly, and to create connections throughout the brain, which play does very well in these early years, in a way that you cannot do later in life. And those interventions early in life, without intervening in the middle years of school, it seems that you get these incredible impacts in adulthood and later life without doing anything in the middle. It's like you get this flywheel momentum going, and then it just does its thing because you get more opportunities, you do better at school. So Playground Ideas has supported over 4,000 communities in 143 countries, impacting over 2 million children. I was talking with a guy just last week and he got in contact because he said, we don't have a lot of car tires where we are, but we've got fire hose. I've just got a mountain of fire hose. And so we worked together and he built this entire playground out of joining together. We worked out a way that we could sort of almost weave and stitch together fire hose. And he built his whole playground out of fire hose. So really, I mean, Playground Ideas is designed to allow anyone anywhere to get the inspiration they need to build a playground using whatever they have.
I have learned very simply that play illuminates the self and eliminates fear. You know, when children play, there is no fear. And then it really illuminates who you are.
Well, enjoyable has to do with, education being fun, being a personal good experience, but probably also to create meaning for the student and for others. I think where students feel that, they can become really good at something, where students feel that what they do will serve a social purpose, probably they will enjoy what they will be doing. And I think that's very important, to create something that is meaningful to students.
Kids don't reject work because it's too hard. Many times they don't want to do it because it's too easy or too meaningless, right? And so the question is, how can we help kids try that, work on something that is challenging for them enough to be interesting, and also, it is something that will have a outcome. Again, Piaget was saying, and other people like Montessori, they're saying play is child's work. I would even say that like it's everyone's work. Like no, it's not only for children. Like if we acquire a playful mindset, I think we can work much better.
When kids are given the freedom to play and explore, they thrive.
Play is such an important aspect of learning. We definitely saw this when we provided learning boxes to students during the lockdown in Malaysia. Many students in remote parts of the country didn't have access to learning. We knew that we needed to send them materials that would be fun and engaging enough for them to want to learn independently. So we filled these boxes with fun art and science activities that encourage students to interact with their local environments. For example, students got to make spy cameras, which were cardboard periscopes, to understand how light works. This brings a new level of engagement to learning remotely.
This learning box has brought joy to our pupils, and that is an essential element to ensure lifelong learning. They are genuinely excited to explore this learning box, and this applied to all of our pupils regardless of their proficiency and ability.
I agree that play is so powerful to engage kids to learn. At FrogAsia, we've seen that it can really bring lessons to life. Good job! Here, catch! Through our gamified revision engine, Frog Play, students get to play mini-games while answering revision questions and collecting points. These points then can be used for their personalized avatars or to unlock more games. To make learning more fun, every year we run the Frog World Championships, where schools in both rural and urban areas can learn, play, and compete globally. The impact has been astounding.
The Frog platform is very fair. The more you do, you will earn more and you can play more. Play is something every child can do. It comes naturally for them, so it engages all kinds of learners from all backgrounds. Even those who usually don't like school will participate in these kinds of lessons.
Even though our small school is in a rubber estate in a very rural area, but we managed to win the Frog World Championship because my students were motivated to learn. Now my students are more confident learners, and their results have also improved tremendously. They can now compete with the rest of the world in the US, UK, Middle East, Australia, anywhere in the world.
So through the whole process of gamification, I'm able to do kind of more unique and different things each day with each class. And the way that the class goes is kind of the way that the students interpret it. And then, you might have completely different approaches to different problems, which keep things exciting for me. And then in turn, I get more excited, I get more animated, and I enjoy more what I'm doing. And then that becomes infectious to the kids.
I do agree. Children shouldn't be forced to think like us. Let them go at their own pace. Let them play while learning, and let them experience it by doing it. That's the element of play that I promote with my children, by doing things together with them. And sometimes I let them lead. Instead of forcing them to do the things my way, they always surprise me.
Play is indeed a child's work. It's their way of making sense of the world. Wonderful things can happen when we take time to find out what motivates them, because that's often the key to learning naturally.
After this year, I'm going to choose my stream. And then I want to go more on programming, because now I'm learning Python and others lah. And then I hope to open my own app, which can be very popular, but not games lah, but useful apps.
I like to learn with my friends because I can teach them also, and also they can teach me.
My hobby is like listening to music and also watching Korean drama. But at the same time, I'm also learning a new things, like I'm learning a new language because it is a Korean drama. And also I also listen to English music. So I think it's improving my English, and I also learn a lot of new words.
But when I'm doing something new, it'll be really nice to do it with people, because it will definitely be fun,
We've seen how impactful it is when creativity and play is encouraged in the learning experience all over the world.
And that means trusting the learning process and the people involved, as Saku Tuomanen mentioned, giving students the freedom to do what they do best: play, create, and innovate.
Building lessons that encourage students to explore new things on their own makes learning personal and meaningful, just like Von Wong's creative work.
Especially when it's a lesson that brings people together. Whether it's co-creating learning experiences with their teacher or their peers, or just collaborating to do something that matters to them, be it through the performing arts like Shaheen and Sunufat did, or anything else. What would that look like in your context?
The best time to implement play with children is early, as seen in the research by Playground Ideas. How can we make full use of this precious window of time to create connections throughout their minds, to lay good foundations so their social and emotional skills can grow and adapt with joy to whatever life brings in the future?
To grow and adapt with joy. I like that. At the end of the day, the key is to always enjoy what you do and who you do it with. So wherever you go, remember to bring your happy song. Wait, did you hear that?
No.
While you go explore.
We go explore, as free as ever. The world's our playground, we'll have some fun. Get up when you fall, and we'll discover more. La-di-ya-da-da, enjoy what you do. La-di-ya-da-da, with whom you do it to. So in this heart of mine, I'll choose to always be a ray of sun to everyone I see. Because the world is mine, take courage, choose believe. I was meant to take a leap, take the leap. Take a stroll in your imagination. There's no end to what could be created. The learning happens even when we play. Grow together now, a family loud and proud. La-di-ya-da-da, enjoy what you do. La-di-ya-da-da, with whom you do it to. So in this heart of mine, I'll choose to always be a ray of sun to everyone I see. Because the world is mine, take courage, choose believe. I was meant to take a leap, take the leap. There is so much around us to celebrate. There are heights to reach if we collaborate. There is so much around us to celebrate. There are treasures in us to appreciate. There is so much around us to celebrate. There are heights to reach if we collaborate. There is so much around us to celebrate. There are treasures in us to appreciate. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So in